Alright, you guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. It is your boy Tornadoes, man, and I am back with a brand new video. And this is the video everyone has been wanting me to cover. It is the first episode of season 5, and I have been waiting to drop this video for you guys, and it is finally here. Welcome to the first EF5 tornado in over a decade since the last F5 tornado from 2013. It is the 2025 Enderlin Tornado that was rated the first F5 tornado since a decade ago. This tornado was not originally supposed to be F5, but somehow, some way, this tornado became the #1 tornado in over a decade since the last EF5 tornado we have saw in the United States. Well, let's read our article for this video, since we can tell this video is going to be a good one. On the night of June 20th, 2025, a large and extremely violent F5 tornado moved through the rural North Dakota, United States, passing near the community of Enderlin. Part of a large outbreak and sequence that occurred across the northern Great Plains between June 19th and June 22nd. The tornado, referred to as the Enderlin Tornado, ranked #1 by the National Weather Service NWS 24B, was the first to be rated EF5 on the Enhanced Fujita scale since the tornado that struck Moore, Oklahoma on May 20th, 2013, ending a 12-year-long period without rated EF5. Throughout its short lifespan of only 16 minutes, it achieved a peak width of just over a mile, 1.6 km wide, and tracked a total length of 12.1 miles, 19.15 km, with wind speeds in excess of 110 miles per hour, 340 km/h, and it killed 3 people, becoming the deadliest tornado to occur in North Dakota since the F4 tornado that struck Elgin in 1987. So the more we discover these tornadoes, and the more we discover how all of these tornadoes, every tornado that I have done a video on, they are all part of the family. No matter if it's a EF1, no matter if it's a EF2, no matter if it's a EF3, EF4, EF5, or down onto the weakest links, which is EF0. Every tornado you see, no matter if it's in Canada, Bangladesh, United States, Italy, Wisconsin, Iowa, anywhere, Brazil, Argentina, wherever you see a tornado, they are all part of the family. No matter if it's from the weakest link to the big brother, to the big sister, to the mom and dad, and even to the grandma. Every tornado you see, no matter if it's weak or strong, they are still part of the family. And I want you to see this image here. When you look at this image, you can see how big this EF5 tornado is, and you can also see how much damage this EF5 tornado caused by only killing 3 people in North Dakota. If we zoom into the image, you will currently see that this F5 tornado is most likely one of the biggest tornadoes the United States have seen since 2013. Now, I am going to do this video the right way by letting my AI voice read the rest of the article. But I just want to show you guys this image of this F5 tornado. If you're wondering what's in the background over here in this image over here and over here to this side, that is currently lightning. Now, as we would call that cloud lightning, while the tornado is moving to wherever it's going. But yes, this tornado had at least a lot of cloud lightning while it was on the ground. And although this tornado was not on the ground for that long, it's only on the ground for a lifespan of 16 minutes. That is the shortest 16 minutes an F5 tornado could ever be on the ground, despite the 1999 Bridge Creek Moore F5 tornado, and then despite the 2013 Moore tornado that was also rated EF5 that took the same damage path as the 1999 Bridge Creek Moore tornado. So it's like you have to discover all of this in one whole trend. Now, despite this EF5 tornado, especially with the lightning cloud lightning or whatever you want to call that, or whoever took this picture, I gotta give them their prompts. This is a very good picture for whoever took it, and I would say that they did a great job taking that picture. As you can see here, this is the mileage path that the F5 tornado took, as it did kind of spawn a couple of tornadoes within the damage path, or this could be the intensity peaks it went on, and it still was an EF5 regardless. Basically, you can say that this EF5 tornado, as it started, the EF5 tornado tracked through North Dakota with a couple of problems of going through North Dakota, but it's still able to manage to be an EF5 tornado. And I gotta say that the way the F5 tornado moved into Enderlin, and it was a good way of going into the town. Here is the radar scales, the VT radar scales from June 21st of 2025, as the tornado, it would look like it was a moderate risk already for Enderlin and probably Davenport, but Davenport, North Dakota, probably out there in that area. Most likely Enderlin was the main target. Here is a well-built home, a home east of Enderlin, swept away at mid-range EF4 intensity. 2 fatalities were recorded here. So here's a home that was swept away. Here's another image of the Enderlin tornado. Also, you can see more lightning flashes into the tornado, if that's what you're looking at, because that's exactly what that is. More lightning flashes into the tornado. Again, we would call that cloud lightning because that's what it is, and that is what's in the tornado. That is cloud lightning. Here's a photo taken of the Enderlin EF5 tornado on June 20th, 2025 by storm chasers Selton Henderson and Jack Delvis. I'm very familiar with those two storm chasers. I watched them on YouTube. And then here's a darker version. You can see a little bit of cloud lightning, but it's not that much important. Here is a tree that was uprooted at EF4 intensity by the tornado, and here is a train that was literally thrown off the rails by that tornado in North Dakota. So there was, I gotta say that there was a lot of problems with this tornado, but for this tornado to only be on the ground for 16 minutes in total and cause this much damage, that is a problem. But this tornado was formed on January 20th, 2025 at 11:04 p.m. and dissipated at 11:20 p.m. The destruction of this tornado was 16 minutes. This tornado was rated EF5 on the Enhanced Fujita scale, with the highest winds being of 210 miles per hour. That is over 200 miles per hour, which is the max rating for EF5 tornadoes. Most likely the fatalities for this tornado was 3 fatalities, no injuries, and areas affected were Ransom and Cass counties, particularly near Enderlin, North Dakota, United States. Part of the tornado outbreak of June 19th to June 22nd, 2025, and tornado outbreaks of 2025. So I'm gonna let AI do the rest of this reading.
Tornado was given a preliminary rating of EF3, with the highest wind speeds estimated at 160 miles per hour, 260 kilometers per hour. 6. However, this rating was upgraded to EF5 following additional surveys and forensic damage analysis for the tipping and lofting of several fully loaded grain hopper cars and empty tanker cars conducted in association with wind damage experts and researchers at the Northern Tornadoes Project, with peak winds needed to cause such damage estimated upwards of at least 266 miles per hour, 428 kilometers per hour. 7. The tornado also destroyed multiple farmhouses and obliterated a forest along the Maple River. A statewide disaster was declared by the governor of North Dakota following the tornado outbreak. In September, federal disaster relief was approved, but was stalled amid the 2025 United States federal government shutdown. Locals and other organizations volunteered to help with the recovery efforts. Meteorological synopsis. Main article, Tornado Outbreak and Derecho of June 19 to 22, 2025 section Meteorological synopsis. June 15, the Storm Prediction Center, SPC, on its Day 6 outlook forecasted that a shortwave, mid-level ridge would move into the upper Mississippi River Valley and remain over the region throughout June 20th. Beneath the ridge, a moist and unstable air mass was expected to be in place from the lower to mid-Missouri River Valley, northeastward into the western Great Lakes region. Instability and deep layer wind shear were sufficient for a localized severe weather threat, though uncertainties remained on where the greatest potential for convection was. 8. Seasonally strong mid-level trough was forecast to eject over the northern plains on June 20th, which featured moderate upper-level divergence to promote lift and deep layer shear. 8. The Storm Prediction Center, SPC, Day 2 outlook mentioned that a small area of uncapped and very unstable air mass, perhaps over northeast SD and southeast ND. Here, a conditional supercell and tornado risk will exist. Very large hail and tornadoes appear likely. 9. 8:15 p.m. on June 20th, the SPC noted that storms developing over eastern North Dakota, while potentially elevated, were entering a favorable environment to become surface-based and pose a greater risk for hazards of severe weather. These storms followed to the southwest of a lone supercell already producing large hail. As these storms moved towards the Red River, favorable low-level wind conditions were forecast to support an increased threat of tornadoes, albeit in a smaller and localized region. At this time, forecasters noted that tornadoes could be strong, with the most likely peak wind speeds from any tornado being 120 to 150 miles per hour, 190 to 240 kilometers per hour. 10. A few tornadoes touched down before the Enderlin Tornado, including an EF3 tornado near Spiritwood and 2 EF2 tornadoes near Valley City and Fort Ransom, respectively. Both moved in a southeasterly direction towards the Enderlin area. 11. 12. The SPC released a mesoscale discussion concerning this with the potential for EF2, EF3 strength tornadoes to occur as a result. 11. Tornado summary. Formation and peak intensity. A radar scan of the tornado and parent supercell near peak intensity. Note the hook echo, left, and extremely powerful tornado vortex signature, right. Tornado initially touched down at 11:02 p.m. Central Daylight Time, UTC-5, along 58th Street Southeast, 3.8 miles, 6.1 kilometers, south of Enderlin in Ransom County. After snapping tree branches at EF0 intensity at its touchdown point, the tornado intensified and widened as it moved east-northeastward across County Road 55 through open fields. 6:13. The tornado then impacted the Admiral Edible Bean Specialties grain elevator facility at the corner of 136th Avenue Southeast and County Road 136 at EF2 strength, snapping large trees and destroying an outbuilding. 13. The tornado then began a rapid intensification and widening phase as it turned northeastward. It reached EF5 intensity as it crossed CPKC's Elbow Lake subdivision southeast of Enderlin, derailing numerous train cars on a stopped freight train. 5 train cars were lofted, and 28 more were tipped over. 4:13, 14, 15, a home that was on the edge of the path sustained minor EF0 damage to its roof as well. 13. The tornado then turned north-northeastward, growing to its peak width of 1.05 miles, 1.69 kilometers. It blew over a cell tower that was anchored by 4 cables into the ground, completely scoured crop fields, and snapped large trees, debarking some of them. It also leveled an unoccupied farmhouse, shifted another house off its foundation, and damaged or destroyed outbuildings. Damage in this area was rated EF2 to EF3. 13. The tornado then inflicted violent EF4 damage to trees as it moved along the Maple River and approached ND46. An entire forest of trees along the river was leveled, with only stubs of the trees left behind. Severe debarking of trees was also noted, with some of them being sandpapered, and some trees were lofted with the root ball attached, including one whose original location could not be determined. 13. East of Enderlin swept away at mid-range EF4 intensity. 2 fatalities were recorded here. Violent tornado then crossed ND46 into Cass County and devastated 2 homes, with 2 deaths occurring in this area. The first home, along with a well-built detached garage nearby, was obliterated and swept away with all the debris scattered downwind of both structures. It was acknowledged that the tornado may have been even stronger at this location, but insufficient anchoring prevented a rating higher than mid-range EF4. 13. The second house, located approximately 300 yards, 270 meters, to the west of the first along 140th Avenue Southeast, along with nearby outbuildings, was leveled. 13:16. The tornado then crossed over the Maple River, leveling another swath of trees. 13. Dissipation. Tornado then turned due north and paralleled 140th Avenue Southeast, snapping trees and damaging crops at EF2 strength. It also caused EF1 damage as it crossed along 52nd Street Southeast, shattering the windows of a home and inflicting roof damage to a mobile home. 13. The tornado then turned north-northwestward, leveling another farmhouse at high-end EF3 strength, and snapping numerous trees. 1 person was killed in the house. 6:13:16. After snapping more trees at EF2 strength, the tornado turned northwestward and toppled 4 tall steel electrical transmission towers at low-end EF3 strength. It also snapped wooden power poles in this area as it crossed County Road 38. 13:6. The tornado then quickly narrowed and weakened as it sharply looped back to the south along the southern end of the Upkey waterfowl production area, crossing County Road 16 twice, and snapping some additional hardwood tree trunks at EF2 strength before dissipating just west of the 50th Street Southeast and 138th Avenue Southeast intersection at 11:20 p.m. Central Daylight Time. UTC-5, approximately 5 miles, 8.0 kilometers, southwest of Alice. 13:6:17. Dark photograph of a large tornado illuminated by a distant lightning flash. Grainy VHS still of a large wedge tornado illuminated by a lightning flash. The tornado, seen southeast of Enderlin. Overall, the tornado was on the ground for 19 minutes, had a path length of 12.10 miles, 19.47 kilometers, and reached a peak width of 1.05 miles, 1.69 kilometers. 1-8, according to the Enderlin Sheldon Fire Department, 10 homes sustained some form of damage from the storm. 19:20, shortly after the dissipation of the Enderlin tornado, a second large tornado formed just east of the first tornado's path at 11:22 p.m. Central Daylight Saving Time. Moving southeast, this second tornado caused EF2 damage to trees and outbuildings across a 6.82 miles, 10.98 kilometers, path before dissipating at 11:34 p.m. Central Daylight Saving Time. 13. Aftermath. Casualties and recovery efforts. An uprooted trees in a small field of grass, the roots are facing the camera. F4 rated root ball displacement caused by the tornado. Governor of North Dakota Kelly Armstrong declared a statewide disaster following the tornado, activating the state's Emergency Operations Plan. 19. On June 24, over 150 volunteers joined in a joint cleanup operation. 21:22. The International Red Cross and Red Crescent Movement sent disaster teams to Enderlin to aid in recovery efforts. 23. And volunteers from the Northern Plains UAS test site deployed an unmanned aerial system to help residents find personal items that had been lost as a result of the tornado. 24:25. North Bank set up a fund for victims of the tornado, and the Enderlin Fire Department assisted in initial cleanup efforts. 26:27. Town of Enderlin itself was not struck by the tornado, although it lost power due to the storm. 28. Debris fallout from the tornado extended to Moorhead, Minnesota, 40 miles, 64 kilometers, from where they originated. Here, a photograph and a tax return form, both belonging to two different people killed in the tornado, were found after the storm carried them there. 29. 2025 United States federal government shutdown, which was ongoing at the time of the tornado's upgrade to an EF5 rating, made disaster assistance unavailable until the shutdown ended. 30:31 President Donald Trump had approved Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, disaster relief to assist the month prior. 3:2
Tornado killed 3 people, all in the vicinity of Enderlin. 33:17. The 3 deaths occurred at 2 locations along the tornado's path. 34. It was the deadliest tornado to strike the state since 1978, when an F4 tornado killed 5 people in Elgin. 35:36:3.
Rating upgrade. The National Weather Service Office in Grand Forks, North Dakota, originally gave the tornado an EF3 rating. 37. Peak winds were estimated to be around 160 miles per hour, 260 kilometers per hour. 38. Aerial photograph of a field with a tipped-over train car being visible. F5 rated damage to several full-grain train cars and empty tank cars tossed and derailed near Enderlin. October 6, 2025, the NWS Grand Forks, with assistance from several engineers including Timothy P. Marshall, 3-9, released a revised survey of the Enderlin Tornado. Its final rating was upgraded to EF5 on the Enhanced Fujita scale, with maximum winds estimated to be over 210 miles per hour, 340 kilometers per hour, 94 meters per second. 4.14. The tornado also caused high-end damage in other areas, although the construction at these areas limited said damage points to being upgraded from high-end EF3 to mid-range EF4. The strong winds correlated to the indicated winds on the WSR-88D storm relative velocity data from the Grand Forks radar site. 4. Intensity of the tornado was calculated from the distances the train cars were lofted and thrown. This new method was outlined in a study authored by a team of scientists and engineers of the Northern Tornadoes Project, and published in the peer-reviewed journal Monthly Weather Review in 2024. 40. In this study, researchers with the Northern Tornadoes Project found an empirical relationship between the distance large and compact objects, such as farm equipment and vehicles, were thrown by the tornado, and damage indicators corresponding to ratings on the Enhanced Fujita scale. The study used tornadoes throughout Canada as examples, and found that these tornadoes, which occurred near Alonza, Manitoba on August 3, 2018, Scarth, Manitoba, on August 7, 2020, and Didsbury, Alberta, on July 1, 2023, were all most likely of EF5 intensity, based on Monte Carlo simulations on cumulative distribution functions showing the likelihood of lofting at each wind speed based on the weight and distance of objects lofted. 41. It was determined that 33 cars on the train derailed. 19 of them were fully loaded grain hopper cars weighing up to 286,000 pounds, 130,000 kilogram, that were all tipped over, with one of them being pulled off the tracks and thrown into an adjacent field. The other 14 cars were empty tanker cars weighing up to 72,000 pounds, 33,000 kilogram. 4 of the cars were thrown out into the field, including one that was tossed 600 to 1,000 feet, 180 to 300 meters, landing 475.7 feet, 145.0 meters, away from the previous tank car it was attached to. Wheel sets from the derailed cars detached at the locations where the cars came off the rails. Collaborating with wind damage experts and the Northern Tornadoes Project, the NWS determined that winds of 230 miles per hour, 370 kilometers per hour, were needed to tip over a fully loaded grain car, and winds of over 266 miles per hour, 428 kilometers per hour, to throw a tank car 475.7 feet, 145.0 meters. 42. In addition, extreme radar measurements were observed around the time that EF5 rated damage was being inflicted. It was also determined that the train cars were lofted twice as far as the EF5 threshold distance and 4 times heavier than the heaviest object model in the reanalysis. Prior to the reanalysis, the damage to the train cars had been left unrated since train cars are not standard damage indicators. 4.3.13. Linda Behrens, meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service office in Grand Forks, stated that, in the last kind of 12 years, there's been several strong tornadoes that have come close, but there haven't been known damage indicators at that time to support the EF5 rating. It's hard sometimes to get tornadoes to hit something. 4.4. The upgraded rating ended the EF5 drought that had begun following the May 2013 Moore, Oklahoma, tornado. 45. The tornado was additionally the first F5 or EF5 rated tornado to occur in the month of June in the United States since the 1992 tornado near Chandler, Minnesota. 4.6.47.
Alright, you guys, so that is it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on post notifications so you will be notified every single time we post another video. And you guys, thanks for watching. You guys, it has been a tough journey for me since I have been doing these tornado videos, and I want to continue this journey with all of you guys. So, and therefore, if you would like to continue this journey with me as we dive deeper into more of these crazy storms, lightning, hailstorms, hurricanes, and all that we dive into, if you want to dive into more of this with me, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on post notifications. And during the hurricane season, all of January until August, I will be dropping hurricane videos only, and there will be previous hurricane videos that I have not dropped. So I will be dropping hurricane videos from June all the way until August. So that is a 3 months fest of hurricane videos, because I know you guys are tired of seeing tornado videos. So that will be a 3-month fest of hurricane videos. So if you want that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified every single time your boy posts a brand new video. And we'll see you in another one. Peace.